Hi, I'm Jenny Revell, Director here at Revell Landscaping. We're just having a chat with our designers, Tony Palmer and Gary Lane, just about design and what inspires us. But first, Tony, tell us a bit about your background before you came to Revell.
Yeah, hi Jenny. My background, so my design background initially started in industrial design. So this was around 10 years ago or so, and then moved into landscape design from there.
Okay, so what made the switch from industrial to landscaping?
So I was more interested in aesthetic design rather than functional design.
Yes.
So it gets a bit boring with the functional. Everything's all about mechanics and making sure it's all going to work.
Yeah.
Where aesthetic design has been more pleasing to the eye.
Sure.
I get more enjoyment out of that.
Sure. I always think the plants are the furniture in a design anyway.
Yeah.
Gary, how long have you been at Revell? What's your story?
Yeah, so nearly 5 years at Revell. So I came at it from a different angle, working in corporate sector, and realised I wanted to do something I actually enjoyed.
Sure.
So about 6 years ago, decided I wanted to be a landscape designer. So I set off on that path, knocked on the front door at Revell about 5 years ago, and the general manager saw something in me and gave me a go. So I started up through the construction team, studied design, and been designing now for a few years and love it.
Sure. So what challenges did you find on that journey between landscaper and landscape designer? What were the challenges there?
Yeah, so it's it's a pretty all-encompassing kind of role. Thing I like about it, it's a blend of art and science in terms of getting plants to work, getting hardscaping to work, getting clients to believe in your vision.
Sure.
So plenty of challenges, but it's really rewarding and love it.
Okay. And Tony, where do you, when you're doing design, you've seen a client, what inspires you? Where do you get your ideas or your inspiration from?
Yeah, obviously it's important to listen to the client's needs. However, a lot of design inspiration would come from the architecture of the home itself.
Right.
Everything we design needs to be in context to the space, right?
Sure.
So if we're not considering that when we're designing our space, you'll get a dysfunctional, space that won't be cohesive to the design of the home.
Sure.
So I get a lot of inspiration from Art Deco, mid-century architecture, mid-century modern, but also like contemporary and traditional as well.
Sure.
So yeah, I've got my preferences, obviously.
I guess that's really important as well. It'd be funny to see a Inglewood home built in a suburb like Fremantle, or like a Cottesloe really modern home, and put that in a landscape in Inglewood or Mount Lawley or something like that, because they're just the areas too, I guess, they've got a different feel.
Yeah, you see that like Fremantle, for example, like natural limestone, pillared limestone.
Sure.
Or, as character.
Yeah.
I think the clients, from meeting the clients, you can take, take a lot away from their personality, even just at that initial consultation, and what their sort of the vibe that they themselves have and that they want to bring to the space. And that's really fun for myself as a designer to take that inspiration and then try and reflect their personality in the landscape design.
Okay. So personality and architecture and the area you live in obviously has bearing on the design that is done.
A lot of clients have particular brief points that they want to play space for the kids, or it needs to be suitable for pets, things like that.
Sure.
So you got to obviously think about all those different elements in the design and make it all work together.
What about when you meet with a design and that they talk about their ideas and you think it's not really going to work, or you're kind of a little bit, you would do something else? How do you work with that? How do you kind of, it'd be a bit disheartening to say, that won't work, or...
It's a good question. And I don't know about you, but I love when clients throw ideas out. And even if you think there's probably a better way, it gives a really good starting point to start the conversation and the dialogue.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I find it's really important not to discount clients' ideas straight away, because whilst it might not be what I would do, I like to try and explain why that may or may not be a good idea, what the alternatives are, and have a really open dialogue about finding the best solution.
So you could get inspiration from that in itself, from the client's ideas, even though they may not be right. You can add to those ideas or work with those ideas and then bring something out in that respect.
It's important to be really honest and upfront though as well.
Yeah.
They need to draw on our experience as to what actually works. And if it doesn't work, we need to be honest about that too.
That's right. Because we could easily go, yep, you can have whatever you like. But when we know it's not going to work, that needs to be portrayed to the customer so that they get value for money at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's no need for us to be there.
Yeah.
If we're just there to say yes to everything and put it in place.
Exactly.
We want to add our experience.
And although it's got to look pretty and green and, beautiful, it's got to work. There's a lot of practical things that need to work, especially around pools and structures and things like that, right?
Ultimately, function over form. However, form's important, obviously, it's going to look good, right? But if it's not practical at all, it's a waste of money. You need to make sure it works.
Sure.
And that might come down to functionality, flow, how the spaces interact, but it also might come down to maintenance.
Yeah.
And making sure the products are suitable long term. Yeah.
I guess that's one of the things we hear a lot in landscaping and creating landscape designs is the maintenance factor, isn't it? Gone are the days where we're, doing hours and hours of hedging and maintenance in the garden. So that is an important factor, isn't it? Absolutely. So with regards to swimming pools and things like that, there's maintenance involved in those issues as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important. I like to try and get a sense when meeting with clients if there's someone that enjoys spending time out in the garden and wants to see the garden continue to evolve after we're done for the years and decades that follow, versus some clients who have a garden because they need to and they can't live in a concrete box, but they don't want to be out there getting their hands dirty. So getting an understanding of where the client fits in and what their lifestyle looks like can really help inform the design choices that we make.
Sure. So that's all part of the consultation and ongoing discussions you have before, during and after the design. Even when we get to the quoting stage, they're all questions and discussions we need to have with the client, right?
Yeah. And Tony mentioned listening before, and that's that first initial design consultation. That listening piece is massive.
Sure.
And having that really clear, open dialogue with clients.
What do you think is one of the most important factors when talking with clients? What do clients tend to get wrong when they're thinking about getting a landscape project up and running? What are one of the most important factors?
I reckon having the client understand the process is really important. Because you can't just go and whack something in. You need to follow a sequence of events in terms of consultation, considering research, products research, putting the keys you've designed together.
Yep.
Costings as well, understanding what things cost in terms of spreading the cost and making sure it's ticking the boxes in terms of.
Yeah. And that all takes time, right? Yeah. So what are clients' expectations usually regarding time? When a client contacts you, what's their expectations?
Yeah, it can vary. And I suppose what myself and Tony do is try and be as clear as possible in terms of what that process looks like and what the different timing elements will look like for us to work through that design, give everything due consideration, even having conversations with council about what's likely to be approved, getting that scheduled, timelines for pool installations and things like that. So being really realistic and upfront, and they're things that we can talk about really early in the piece to make sure that expectations are aligned.
Yeah.
It's really important.
We often have these discussions regarding time because most of our projects these days, particularly if they've got a pool, need to go through council.
Yeah.
So Gary and I were having a conversation prior to this, thinking about what the timeline is. But we know that council usually takes around 3 months, sometimes 4, doesn't it?
Yeah, depending if planning approvals are required.
Yeah. So that is the first hurdle. If the customer's going, comes to us in, say, September, October and says, I want a pool put in and I'm having a party at Christmas, they need to think about the timeline before, a little bit maybe before that, because of the council. You know.
At the end of the day, it's like probably their second biggest investment after buying a house.
True, yeah.
And it's not something you want to rush into and, you know, make expensive errors. So
Yes.
you want to get the planning right, get the scheduling right, get the materials ordered, things like that. Obviously, council approvals. So when you got to think bigger picture.
Yeah.
Okay? We want to build something that's going to last 10 plus years or beyond.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't just be thinking about this summer.
Yeah, or the Christmas party.
Or the Christmas party, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's about quality over time.
Okay. So what's one of your favourite things about being a landscape designer? What do you enjoy the most about it?
Yeah, so ultimately I enjoy their connection with people, so with the clients, but also the idea that there'll be new challenges every day with new projects. No two projects are the same.
Yep.
And those challenges can be everything from the physical space that we're working in through to working with budgets and with timelines and all sorts of things. But being able to take a big box of challenges, work through that and come up with a solution that satisfies the client is, really rewarding.
Sure. And what do you think is happening in the landscaping scene at the moment? I guess what's popular? What are the current trends happening at the moment?
Question?
Yeah, I think a lot of sites have different sort of requirements in terms of trends. Like you can't try and shoehorn every different trend into a space.
No.
Because you get this clash and it'll be really busy.
And everyone in Perth will look the same.
Yeah. There are trends in terms of like colour schemes.
Yeah, there is.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you got a colour of the month sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are adopting the idea of having curves in their landscape.
Sure. Yeah.
And that may be like a geometric sort of curve, radius, centre point line.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it comes down to taste, you know.
Yes.
Like some people hate it, some people love it. But we like to incorporate some softness in the curves and the designs. But it really comes down to the space.
And I guess again, that also comes down to what we spoke about earlier, and that's the client's architecture of their property and their personality.
Yeah.
Because someone, like we were talking before, may just need a landscape because they've bought a new house and they need something outside. But there's others, the most important thing is the landscape. Rather than the house. They want a beautiful area to entertain and they like gardening or whatever. But it goes a bit beyond gardening these days, doesn't it? It's more, landscape design, we're thinking of al fresco areas, outdoor kitchens, swimming pools. So it's not just about plants and trees, although that's my favourite bit at the end.
Yeah.
But there's all those other things.
I think there's like this association with the word landscaping that is soils and plants. And it's really like, it's only a part of what we do.
Yes.
We do a lot of construction, al frescoes, outdoor kitchens.
Yes, exactly.
Hardscape elements.
Yeah. It's about building that outdoor lifestyle, and Perth's the perfect place to be getting the most of your outdoor living because it's just such a great climate to be outdoors. So you want to have an outdoor space that, does justice to your house and enhances your lifestyle ultimately.
And when you've got a beautiful space outside, it does draw you to want to go outside and look at that space.
And draw the kids outside, get them off their screens and out into the fresh air.
Yeah. There's something about looking at a landscape or plants that it's got, a calming effect, hasn't it? So, Tony, often clients will come to us with a driver or a reason they want to get a landscape design happening. What do you think? What are those drivers usually?
So a lot of people come to us because they've gone into the market looking up Instagram or Pinterest and collating a million photos of things they like.
Yep.
And then they're challenged as to how to put all those ideas together in a cohesive way.
Sure. So they want everything. They just can't decide.
Yeah.
Where to put it all.
Yeah. So what would we recommend in that space out of these different ideas they've got? Because then a lot of people big investment. They might be thinking about doing it for a couple of years.
Hmm.
And in that couple of years, they'll be doing research or seeing some images in a magazine, online. But then they're challenged as to how they're going to put it all together into a concept for their space.
Yeah.
So they'll be tapping into someone like us for experience and advice. So we would typically meet with them and go through all that, look at the ideas they've got, and try and tie it all together to make it work.
Okay.
Sometimes there's issues in terms of trying to get all those ideas into a space.
Yeah.
And that's where there might be some requirements to show some restraint in the design.
Yes. Sometimes less.
Less is more.
Yeah.
But then also working out what they need, what they don't need. We understand their priorities and must-haves versus their like-to-haves.
Mm.
Yeah. And our design process is good in as much as we include a round of revisions so that we can present a design concept and then still work with clients to refine that and get that to be as close to perfection.
So I guess that fact-finding mission comes at the end when you're presenting the design. So they look through it and you might walk them through the actual design and then they might come up with things.
Not necessarily. It can be, it's really fluid. It can be at the start of the design process where we start to give our opinion and our expertise on what is and isn't sort of important. Or it can be once a design concept's put together and then it's both myself as a designer and the client start to review things, and then once they've seen the overall concept, think that maybe a certain element isn't as important as they might have thought previously.
So they get plenty of opportunity to change and add to their
we try and work with the client, rather than just trying to put our ideas forward and say this is what you should and shouldn't have.
Yeah,
it's not like that at all.
No,
it's more of a fluid process where we want to have the client involved heavily.
Yeah,
because ultimately it's their money, it's their space. They're the ones looking at it every day.
That's right.
But we want to facilitate the best approach,
Yeah.
And we've been around for a long time. We know what works, what doesn't work. So it's they need to trust the process.
Sure.
And it does work, Yeah,
it's really akin to being a partner with that client throughout the project, because as Tony said, it's a big investment, and it's something we want to get right. So there can be a lot of back and forth and working together to get the right outcome, because that's ultimately what.
And I guess things like, swimming pools and other, patios or al frescoes or outdoor kitchens, very popular at the moment. What are the main reasons that someone might come to us for a landscape design? I know that, buying a new house, obviously they need they need a garden of some sort. But what if they're renovating? Are they coming to us because the landscape's old, or because they want a pool and would they have to redo the landscape if they've got a pool? Or, what's the most
I guess
common reason?
Most of our clients would be driven by the process of buying a pool. A lot of our clients are. And by right of that, they need to do their landscaping, because they need to also think about the pool compliance requirements with pool fencing.
Just pools are big. How many, if out of 10 customers, how many out of 10 would have a pool, do you think?
Probably 75%.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Either existing or new.
Yeah.
Cool.
Our climate really, everyone needs a pool.
Yeah, like Gary said, whether it's a rejuvenation of an existing pool space that might have been installed in the 70s or 80s, or it might be a new pool.
And the area around it's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone once said to me that, you spend more time around your pool than you do in your pool. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So making sure that pool is going to work with the space. If you just sort of plop a pool in the middle of your backyard without consideration to how that relates to the house or how it relates to the space overall, you're likely to not get the best outcome. And that's where we can come in and offer some advice and look at a space that's going to give you the pool that you want, but be really cohesive. And also start to explore the different options with pools that are out there. You've got fiberglass, concrete, precast concrete. Everyone's got a different opinion, but we can be as impartial as possible, talk through the pros and cons of each, and and help with some initial advice and
One of the main problems that we've discussed in the office is about clients going to a pool installer first rather than the landscaper, and then the pool company goes, sure, this product that we've got here will be great. Where do you want it? They stick it in, and then they come to us. They've already arranged the pool. We've got a design around it. So
Yeah. So there is issues around that sometimes.
it would have been better if they came to us first and we can decide which pool would suit them best where, wouldn't it? Rather than, but it quite often happens the other way around. Doesn't
Probably the most common issue with that is the pool level being at the wrong height.
it?
So that's happened a few times where, someone might be keen on having, say, formed concrete around their pool, for example, where that's got an 85 mil lip.
Yes.
Travertine, which is typically around 30 mil thick. So the pool shell is actually set at a different height.
It's a big problem before we even
It
start.
can be a problem for the client. And sometimes, well, there's been instances before where a client has actually had to pull the pool out and reset it
Oh,
to the right level.
yeah,
And then that's quite an expense that was unnecessary,
absolutely.
which could have been resolved earlier if they were in touch with their design.
So that comes down to planning, which is all about, that's what a landscape design is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's planning to what you want to do in your backyard and how it's going to work.
It's almost like, you're not going to go build a house without plans. It's the same sort of thing.
And the pool company, that's not their brief. They're just, a client wants a pool. They look at their catalogue of how many pools they've got. So, the Sapphire will do. That'll suit them. Where do you want it? They just put it in the back corner and don't think about the aesthetics or anything. They just think about that pool.
Yeah.
So the link between design and installing a pool is very important. And
It's critical. Like when Gary and I are designing the space, the pool is the first thing that goes into that design, and we're considering layout, orientation, offsets, considering where the pool equipment's got to go, where the skimmer box is going. Is there an in-ground blanket?
So in fact, it would save them, the client, money if they came to a landscape designer first to sort all that out. They would get the best, they would get bang for their buck right there and then.
Yeah.
If they came for us first, just to help with the pool selection, shape, position, all that sort of thing.
So I think there's a misconception sometimes that when you pay for a landscape design, you're paying for a set of drawings or some imagery, and that it's not necessarily value for money. But part of what we deliver is our experience and, avoiding these pitfalls.
Yes.
If you go it alone, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and that's when mistakes can be made. So you're really paying to have someone that can partner with you and work through those potential, hurdles.
Yeah.
And not to mention things like council approvals and pool fence regulations, which are, it's a whole nother world of pain potentially if you don't know what you're doing.
And as Tony mentioned earlier, we've got an unbiased opinion. We're not going to, we don't want to sell them that, 7x3 rectangular pool, because that's not one of our products. We want to sell. We want to place a pool in their space that suits their needs.
That's right.
Different pools for children, for lap swimming, for entertaining, all those sorts of things.
Yeah,
isn't there?
There's also different pools for different applications, and that might come down to whether that site is more suitable for a concrete pool. Or if that site's more suitable for a precast concrete pool, like Gary mentioned.
And there's lots of exciting ideas with pools these days, like on sloping blocks, the ones that are kind of, they seem to be underground at one end and above ground at the other end, not needing a pool fence.
Yeah.
There's some quite exciting ideas when it comes to that and a sloping site that clients wouldn't know about going to a pool company, especially a fiberglass pool company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as our 3D concepts go, do you find that the customer gets a really good idea of what they're going to end up with in their space with those drawings as opposed to the stock standard, like a housing plan, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So the thing with our 3D design software is it's fully immersive and photorealistic. So essentially you can virtually walk out of your back al fresco doors out through your space and get a really clear, immersive understanding of what the design's going to look and feel like.
Sure.
And then there's the opportunity to make revisions based on that, which is a lot clearer than looking at the kind of old-fashioned 2D top-down designs.
Sure.
Yeah, we use state-of-the-art design software that also is good for showing clients nighttime shots and lighting, things like that, which is really
That's
cool.
a good idea. Very important.
So level of detail is really high in that conceptual stage. Because that's that the clients want to visualize themselves in that space, how the shadows are going to cast, how it look at nighttime.
Yeah.
There's lots of technology that allows us to showcase that.
Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of entertaining is done at night as well. Outdoor kitchens, barbecues, that sort of thing. So lighting is important. Isn't it?
Absolutely. That's something that not only through our design software, but then importantly through our construction as well, we can go to that extra degree. So it's not just hardscape and softscape, but those finishes like outdoor lighting, which can really make a difference and give you a...
Have you got like a favourite project that you've worked on over the past couple of years that you've designed and we've actually built and you've been involved in that, you've got a favourite that you can talk about there?
There's a couple I've got in the pipeline. So existing concrete pool area in South Fremantle, which we're starting construction on shortly. So really cool design concept, retractable patio. Excited to get started on that and see the finished product.
We've done so many projects. Like it's hard to pinpoint one I love because all of them have an element I love.
That's right.
So,
and once you get through one project, there's another one sitting waiting.
Yeah, and it's always something different that's awesome about it. Like, we try and set ourselves apart by doing something a bit unique. And every job's different, so it's a different style, which I love that style. I love that style. There's no favourite. It's hard to have a favourite. I think
it's good not to be tied to that one type of style. Like, you can see different design. It's not necessarily landscaping. It could be building, architecture, landscaping, whatever. And some people get that one type of style that they like, and you can almost recognise their projects from that style. But we take a different approach.
It doesn't work on every job though. Like you can't just copy and paste it to every site and expect that to look good.
No, that's right.
It might look good as an isolated view, but contextually to the house and...
That's right. And things change all the time from month to month, don't they? Little, new things come out, colours change slightly, materials come in and out of fashion, don't they?
I think when you look at our portfolio of jobs over the last 25 years, you'll see that there is so much variation in those styles. There's certainly nothing wrong with having one style and sticking to it for some designers. But I think what's good about what we do is that we're not just taking something off the shelf and applying that. It's going to be bespoke every single time.
True. And sometimes I think, wouldn't it be great if someone just came along and said, I've got an unlimited budget, do whatever you like. But then I guess that makes it harder because the actual constraints that the customer gives you about the design are tools with which you use to make the design in the first place.
Yeah,
is that right?
So listening to budget is critical to the success of the design. No one wants to pay money for a design that can't be built. It's all well and good having pretty pictures on a piece of paper, but at the end of the day, they've come to us for solutions and to solve their problems they've got. And one of them is trying to make the most of their budget in mind.
Yeah. And I guess your experience in building and your studies in that in the building trade help you with all those sorts of things like, structures and different building regulations and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
understanding construction is critical to what we do because a lot of the elements are built form.
Yeah.
And there'll be structures involved in a lot of our projects. So understanding how it's going to be built, design in line with expectations of structural integrity is important. So then when we go to getting the project engineered, for example, for approvals, It's all as per the concept.
Yes,
There's no unexpected columns or.
that's right. So therefore, not too many unexpected costs for the
Correct.
client later.
Yeah.
Get all that,
right.
try to get all that sorted out in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because budget is a thing. No one wants to pay over what something is worth, but I guess they want value. So if they're going to spend a certain amount of money on a project, they want that project to look like.
Yeah. And probably a really good thing about our process is because we are set up for design and construction. It's not just design and it's not just construction. We want to design something that they love aesthetically, looks beautiful,
That's right.
but then also can be built and is within their budget expectations.
And it's going to work. So we don't just wipe our hands after we've done the design and they go somewhere and it's like, oh, sorry, you can't have that because of this.
Yeah. Or the budget is double or something like that.
Yeah.
So we hear about that all the time too.
Yeah. So getting that full end-to-end process from that first initial phone call through to a site visit, start to ask those questions and understand that brief, and then designed with that budget in mind and designed in a way that it can be built, and that our team are capable of building that and delivering on.
And I guess even through once you've done the design and the project's getting built, I mean, you still have some sort of contact with the client. They might ring you for different things, clarity on different things while it's getting built. Because sometimes a landscape project might take a few months if it's a really big project.
Yeah, some jobs are on for 6 months.
Yeah.
Some really big jobs, and Gary and I will be involved.
They still give you
as consultants.
Yeah.
Consultants through that construction phase.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's changes of mind. Client might want to add something or have need some advice as to how to finish something.
And I guess it's good to know for them. It's good to know. Well, it would be for me to know that, if I wasn't sure of something on the design while it's getting built, I can always ring the designer and just run that past them just to make sure we're all on the same page or whatever.
And we work really closely with our construction supervisors and lean on each other for our experience to make sure we get that best end result.
Yeah. So with potential clients in mind, can you explain the process, what they can expect once they give us a call regarding a landscape or a landscape design? What is the process?
Yeah, so sorry.
Oh no, you're going to.
I was just like, take it there. So the starts with getting in touch with the client. So a chat on the phone is really good to get an idea about their project from the outset. We'll have an initial on-site design consultation. We'll come to site, meet with all the decision makers and walk through the space and get a really clear idea about the project brief.
Yeah.
We'll then schedule that design work. Once the design's completed, make a time to do that initial design review along with some initial cost estimates. Work to refine that design and get that affected to a finished product. Produce a construction quote from there, and then be in a position to sign off on that and begin the construction process.
Okay. So, important factor I sort of picked up there is having both the decision or all the decision makers. It's though I just find sometimes you might get the wife in at the early onset of the design because the husband thinks, I'll just get involved when it comes to paying for or the budget or whatever. But really, we need both of them involved in the beginning because there's decisions to be made the whole way, isn't there?
Yeah, to get that best outcome, you want to hear from all the decision makers, everyone that lives in the house, and get an understanding of what the overall objective is. Find out about, are there kids? Are there pets? Maybe the kids are growing up and need a play space, or maybe the kids are off to uni and the cubby house is going to turn it into a bull house.
Yeah, true.
But it's really good to get both or all decision makers involved at that early consultation stage so that everyone's on the same page and we're starting on the right track together.
Even a married couple might have a different agenda, the wife might be interested in, the pool and, outdoor kitchen or something, but the husband, all he cares about is the big TV screen that he wants in the background or something like that. And yeah, that needs to be sorted out early, doesn't
A
it?
lot of those questions, there's a lot of questions asked in the consultation stage, and there'll be questions that will make them think. And it's questions that they'll all need to be involved in because, they've got different agendas. They've got different understanding of that space, even what's been built and things like that.
Yep.
So there will be certainly exploration and questions that could challenge them a bit. And I think it's best they're all.
Yeah.
So, sometimes our role can be almost a little bit marriage counsellor when we're there talking to a husband and wife or to two people in a relationship because they come at it from different angles with different ideas. And that's where we can be really objective and give our expertise and really help to sort of nut out some of those differences and land on an end product that everyone's happy with.
So you like the referee sort of thing?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
They might want different things and then they're looking for the best advice to sort of
so we like
tell them which way to go.
Yeah. It's good when a husband and wife have a conversation before we get there. Sometimes they'll throw out different ideas for the first time and there'll be some shock between the two parties as to what their ideas are. Yeah. But that's okay. It's all about working through that to come up with a really good solution.
So Jen, we've got some questions for you.
Great. Wait.
Yeah, so obviously you've been in the game for a while. And how many years has that been?
25 years.
25 years, okay. It's impressive.
So where did Revell Landscaping start 25 years ago?
So it all started from my love of gardens. So I used to do every single rental property I had up with this splash garden. And then I started getting neighbours asking me what I should do with their gardens. So I was a sales representative at the time, sales rep, and I thought, well, maybe I should follow and do what I love, which was horticulture at the time, which I did. And then it just evolved into small makeovers and to what it is today, big projects, construction staff, designers, all that sort of thing. But that didn't happen overnight. Obviously, it's taken over the course of 25 years to gain that experience in the industry, to know what we're doing. At first, when I first did horticulture, yes, I'd go and do the small makeovers of just planting projects. But of course, 25 years later, with all the with the team that we've got involved in the business now and all their expertise, we're doing, much more difficult projects. So,
how do you think we are most suited in the market today?
So, well, we know our target market is mid to high end new homes and renovations. And the reason why that's our target market is because that's what we're good at. That is our sweet spot. It's what we do and we do really well. So we're not into commercial tenders and all those sorts of things. Our absolute target is residential. And it's what we love. I love seeing a new home get landscaped with beautiful gardens and alfresco areas and swimming pools and things like that, rather than doing a commercial project where you're planting 300 tube stock or whatever, Yeah, it's much more fulfilling, I think.
Yeah, for sure.